Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Slimming Surgeon podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kandace Kichler. Today we have I always say we have a very special guest, but today we have an extremely special guest. It is one of my best friends, Olivia Figueroa. Olivia is a dynamic presence in the world of wellness. She is a certified personal trainer, entrepreneur, accomplished fitness model, and nutrition coach. She's also a content creator based out of NYC. So she's here visiting us from the city. We're so blessed to have her. Thanks, Olivia.
Yay. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Kandace.
Of course. So a lot of people that follow both of us always want to know what's going on in your life. Like I'll get messages, what's happening with Olivia? Where is she? What is she doing? So this episode is to give the people what they want.
Oh God. Maybe not everything, right?
Not quite everything, but a lot. Let's start with your move to the city. So, you were born and raised in South Florida. You were a big fitness presence here, as well as kind of internationally in the magazines and everything like that. But what made you make the jump up to the city?
So I love South Florida so much. It's like my home forever. And I'm so happy to be here, first of all. It feels so nice. It was always something that I wanted or something that I wanted to explore more of. Living in South Florida in your late 20s, the way of life is amazing and it's very healthy and everything. But, I got to be late 20s and I hit 30. I became single at 31, 30 or 31 around there. And it was kind of like the pivotal moment where I was like, okay, I have been here my whole life. I love it here. I know that I can always come back, but my main goal right now, my main focus is myself. And it was a time where I was like, okay, you're only going to be young once. You're only going to be 30 once.
Now or never.
Now or never, right? So I always loved the city. I spent a lot of time in New York in my late 20s, visiting friends and going for work, teaching classes. I even had clients that were between New York and Palm Beach, of course, a big connection there. So I was like, you know what? This is the time. I need to do it. I need to make a huge change. I wanted something drastic.
Yeah.
And people were like, why don't you just move to Miami? And it wasn't the same. It wasn't calling me. And New York was just really calling me. And I'm like, you know what? Every time I go there, I was like, kind of had this like sadness when I left. I'm like, this is just the most incredible city. It's just full of energy, full of life. And that's what I needed at the time. And I was like I said, now or never, pull the trigger. Let's just do it. So I lived in Florida for a whole year after I decided I wanted to move because I had to get my ducks in a row, kind of make sure.
And it was COVID too.
Yeah.
It was weird times.
100%. And we all know that Florida was the place to be during that time. And I got rid of my car. Do you remember? I got rid of my first car and I was like, I'm done. I'm moving. And then I was like, hold on, wait, just kidding. No, I'm not. A new variant. And I'm like, the last thing I wanted was to go to New York and then have them shut the world down again. And it was just ridiculous. And I wasn't about to go backwards when I was living a certain way in Florida.
For sure.
So, I had to wait for the timing to be better. And it's also extremely expensive to move and there's so many things that go into it. The logistics are very overwhelming. So I finally did it. I made the move and it was the best thing ever. I mean, it was very, very difficult. Not even going to lie. I mean, I have days that are they're tough. It's a very, very tough city. You have to have very tough skin to live there. And especially when you go up there and you make this huge move and you don't have a safety net, right? Like I everything is on my own. I don't have someone helping me and I had no
family
assistance.
there.
Yeah, 100%. It was like, nope, you have to make this happen. You have to make it work one way or another. But I'm very where there's a will, there's a way type of person. And I have a lot of drive and it's just something that I was like, I'm going to do it. And it's going to suck some days, but let's go.
So you moved there and obviously it's been great overall, but what have been some of the other struggles? let's talk about maybe your weight whenever you moved.
Yeah. So the way of life is just so night and day. And the quality of life, I really should say, because in Florida, it's incredible. And I never took it for granted ever. But now, after having lived in New York for a full year, I have really seen how amazing and how healthy you can live here. And I think it's incredible. But I got to the city and everything is different, from the fact that you don't have a car, you're walking, the pollution, the constant stimulation, every little thing that you don't necessarily think about. Like, there are all these small things that add up and you start to feel different. And it's just, even like your sleep and the noises around you, everything is just so different. And yes, you're walking every day, which you don't walk here, but it almost like doesn't make up for the other things.
Sure.
And I don't think I really realized that until month like 4 or 5 of being there. And then also the obvious, it's freezing in the winter.
I was going to say, was it your winter when it like really hit you?
It was my first winter. And let me tell you, I am a Florida girl through and through. Winter is not it. It's not for me.
I would literally die.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great. And I hate to complain, but winter's horrible. Like, I hate it. So, but you're freezing and you're having to, and with my job, I'm seeing clients all over and I'm hopping around. It's not like I'm working a desk job where I go to the same location every day. My days vary. So my commute is different from one day to the next. And some days I'm indoors most of the day. Other days I'm hopping around the city and it's crazy. So when it's freezing, it makes things so much more difficult. And it's so fast paced and you don't have like the luxury of having a moment to yourself. Whereas here you can walk a little slower. No, it's like you're in the city and you hit the ground running and like everyone is going at 100 miles an hour. And if you don't, you'll get freaking trampled.
Yeah.
And you have to keep up with that constant pace, which sometimes it's exciting and it's challenging and it's fun and exciting, but other times, like, you just need a moment. You need a break.
Yeah. So, you really realized like how different it is to be healthy here versus there. Do you feel that with your clients as well? You know, like when winter hits there, are they less likely to want to work out because they're in this like hibernation mode? Or do you just have more dedicated people who are on it no matter what?
You know, it's funny. I don't know if it's because my clients who I see regularly are like, a lot of them are longtime New Yorkers. And if they're either like from New York, I even have some who are from the city. But even the ones who aren't, they have been there for at least like 7, 8, 9 years. So it's very different for me because I'm still fairly new there. I've only been there for a year and change. So they're used to it and it doesn't really affect their
routine,
their level of productivity. I feel like they're still very on in the winter and they still want to work out just as much. And my clients, you have to also remember that they're not leaving their house to work out. So I go to them. So whether it's in their home gym, in their actual townhouse or in their building or, so it's like, they don't really have to leave the house. So even if it's snowing outside, I'm the one who's going to them. So luckily for them, that's not an issue. But for me, I definitely struggled with, my level of self-motivation and when it comes to being energized when it's freezing and gray for 8 days straight, like I definitely lost a lot of my motivation for
Low
sure.
vitamin D.
Low vitamin D. And something that I actually have never spoken about on my Instagram account.
Give us the tea.
It's some serious tea, let me tell you. My weight gain of winter. I mean, obviously, because I was texting you off of a ledge, in February of last year. But I didn't feel like I could openly discuss it because
your baseline is so good that people would think you were absolutely crazy to say that you gained a pound,
Right. And I kind of was afraid, which is shocking because you know me, I'm not one to be afraid of criticism and I handle it pretty well for the most part. But that was one thing that I was really hesitant because I was hesitant to share the fact that I gained, and I'm not talking 2 pounds, like I gained like a full 10 pounds in the winter. And it was the biggest struggle. And it was such a difficult thing for me to deal with because it's not like I wasn't working out. I was working out, in fact, more than I was in Florida because the accessibility in New York is incredible. That's the good thing about it is that you have gym access. I belong to Equinox, so I go to all of them in the city and I can go to them any time of the day. I have a gym in my building now, but it wasn't working out. It was lack of vitamin D. It was lack of proper sleep. I had my first apartment in the city. I really was unhappy. I hated it. It was super loud. I was in a 4th floor walk up. The apartment itself was actually very nice, but the loud noises that you would hear all hours of the night, whether it's like cars, whether it's people screaming, like it was insane. And I am a phenomenal sleeper generally. I never had issues sleeping. And then boom, I moved to New York and I couldn't sleep ever. And this was like 7 months, consecutive nights of terrible sleep. It started weighing on me and I was like, wow, I'm hungry all the time. I feel like crap. I'm really moody. My cortisol was also high from just being in the city, but then lack of vitamin D. And also, let's also talk about the fact that I was going out more than I was in Florida because I'm like single in the city and I want to meet people. And I also I'm very blessed that I do have some great friends who live in the city who I had before moving there. So there was always something to do. And I felt like I couldn't sit at home if I was new to a city. I need to like explore and to network and to be out and about. So all of those things kind of combined, I reached this point where I was like, oh my God, I feel horrible in my skin. I feel sluggish.
Yeah.
And I don't even care. Like I didn't like the way I looked. Yeah. I didn't like it. Like for the first time, my abs looked different. My jeans were fitting differently. I just didn't like it. And it's okay to not like how you look and it's okay to also do something about it.
100%. How do you feel like you kind of kicked it? Was it just the change of the season and you were able to get more balanced? Was it the move to the new apartment or was it a combination of things that helped you kind of get back to where you are?
I think it's definitely, it was a combination of things. I didn't leave the city for like 4 months and it's a lot when you don't have a little break from the city and from the constant go, it weighs on you. So I've learned that you need to have little city breaks, which is why I'm here in the beautiful sun. Because you also like learn to go back to the city and you're like, damn, I'm so happy to be back here. And you appreciate it more. You appreciate it more. It's something that I always look forward to going back to. But at that time, I didn't have a break. I wasn't supplementing with vitamin D for some reason, which was like stupid on my part.
I know, because I feel like we talked about this through COVID because it's so good for that.
Absolutely. And immunity. I dropped the ball. Truly, I dropped the ball. And you know me, I am nutrition junkie and I was always on top of my game eating in, but I was like eating out more than I ever have before because let's be real, like it's fun to go out to eat in the city.
Of course.
It is like,
and it's like you want to be at the place to be seen.
Of course.
You want to meet new people.
Absolutely.
You're not going to do that cooking at your house.
No. And it's buzzing. And I had this like internal battle and struggle with myself. Like one voice on one shoulder was like, you have to go out. Like how else are you going to meet friends? How else are you going to meet new clients? Like there's so many hot guys in the city. And then like the other side, like the angel on my shoulder was like, yes, but like, you know that you feel so good when you eat in and like, this is like your brand and like, this is, what you do and this is your image and this and that. So I was constantly going back and forth and, but finally, I think I learned to balance. I started supplementing with vitamin D. I moved apartments. Thank God. So I am getting, I should say, so much better sleep. I make it a priority to go to bed by now. I shut my phone off at 9
Amazing.
and do not disturb, honey. DND. It's my favorite setting. So yeah, I mean, all of the things I just started really prioritizing. And at the end of the day, like, did I do anything? Did I make any like amazing discoveries while going out and eating too much and drinking too much during the winter? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So it wasn't worth the weight gain.
No. So aside from vitamin D, do you take any other supplements? People want to know this stuff. Like, how do you keep those abs year round?
Well, abs are fully diet. Not crunches, not any. I can't give thanks to my workouts for my core. It's all diet. But as far as supplements go, vitamin D, I do like oregano oil for my immune system. I do a multivitamin for like women's health and stuff like that. But I don't really do like any sort of supplement for my physique. It's more so like vitamins, minerals, and immune system, like boosting stuff.
Which I think all of those things are good to take because the food that we eat today, even if we're buying all organic, it doesn't quite have the same nutritional content as it used to, or that we may think it does. You know, like even when you juice, like when you're juicing, unless you're getting a fresh produce product right off of the farm and juicing it right away and eating it right away, like all that processing, all that traveling, all that shipping, all that sitting in a store, and all of the things, you know, take away a little bit of the nutrients at a time. So supplementing, I think, is not a bad thing as long as you know what you're doing and you're, of course, like monitoring your levels.
For sure.
You don't want to be taking like weird stuff and your doctor be like, oh, wait a minute, now you have this problem. But all of that's really rare with basic immune system supplements. So going into that kind of avenue, like what's your favorite smoothie recipe? Because you're still a smoothie or you're like an oats girl. Like tell us what's your favorite daily recipe or smoothie recipe.
Yeah. So I'm very like a whole foods. That's my approach to nutrition, is something that, first of all, I'm all about buying organic. Being in the Northeast in the summer, it's amazing because the farm stands are absolutely out of this world. And like, I'm starting to get a little bit sad because we're going into fall, and not that there isn't great fall produce, but the produce in the summer in the Northeast is just next level. And it's like right off the farm. I'm all about farm to table. Excuse me. So, I really focus on quality ingredients no matter what. And then cooking from home. So like I keep it really simple. I do love smoothies. I do fruits. Like I pretty much keep it to berries for my smoothies. I love a plant-based protein, a nut milk because I have dairy weird stuff. I'm anti-dairy. So I keep it simple and I eat the same things all the time. So people will be like, oh, what's your favorite recipe? And it's like, it doesn't really change. I mean, I was eating the same things in Florida really that I'm eating in New York.
Right.
And I am a firm believer, like if something is working for you and if it feels good and you feel good eating it, stick to it, you know, like, but I'm not a variety person. Like I don't need a ton of variety. I just like organic, whole foods, you know where it comes from. Keep it simple.
Right. But I think that that's important to talk about, that routine, structure, simplicity is really key if you're trying to reach your goals. And unfortunately, we live in a society where like being a quote unquote foodie is such a popular thing, but maybe being a foodie isn't really helping your health. Like, yeah, it's fun to jump from restaurant to restaurant and try all these new things, but you don't know what they're putting in the food. You end up having wine with that as well. You're eating late, you know, so basically I don't recommend being a foodie.
Well, then I don't recommend living in New York either because the foodie scene is crazy. And, you know, my girlfriends, I mean, I have friends of all different like career backgrounds and everything, but I have a lot of girlfriends who work in very different fields than me. They're in finance, they're in marketing, they're in interior design, whatever. And it's such a culture living in New York. After work, you go out to eat. You know, I have friends who go out to eat 5 nights a week and that's the norm. And, you know, it's fun, I wish I could join them some of the times, but I have to pick and choose the times that I can go with them because some of the restaurants are so incredible. I'm a sushi lover, like through and through, and the sushi there is amazing. And any kind of cuisine you could ever imagine, like it exists in New York.
Of course.
So like you just have to pick and choose.
Maybe not go out
all the time.
Much.
Exactly.
Right.
And then cook as much as you can. That's what I tell all my clients.
So let's address the people that skinny shame you. How do you feel about that? Because you have an incredible physique. It's obviously very hard to maintain. And, I've gotten people say things like, oh, you need to eat more, things like that. And I'm not anywhere near the shape that you're in. So how often do people say things to you? What do you feel about that in general?
So I have strong opinions on the matter. Shocker. I've been skinny shamed, I guess you can say. I'm experienced in this topic. First of all, I just don't think you should comment on someone's appearance because I think it's very normal to be like, oh, that girl is so skinny, she needs to eat more. But I think that like, if it were the other way around, if I were to tell someone, oh, wow, like you really need to get your diet in check because you're a little chubby, you would literally get destroyed.
100%.
Right. And
canceled.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of girls on Instagram in my own field, like it literally like girls who are trainers like myself, they'll be like, strong is sexy, skinny is not. I think that's BS. I think skinny is very sexy. I do. And I don't think, and like, if you want to be skinny, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, do 100%. Like you have one life. If you want to be skinny, be skinny. If you want to be chubby. Like whatever it is, but like you be whatever you want to be. I would never say like skinny isn't sexy because personally, I think it is sexy. And personally, I feel my absolute best when I'm lean. Like I want to be lean. Like I felt horrible when I put on 10 pounds in January from eating too much,
100%.
So I think that like at the end of the day, I don't think anyone should comment on your weight because you're the only one who knows how you feel in your skin. But secondly, I'm also not supportive of this culture that like you can't be skinny because you certainly can be. And if that's what you want to be, then go for it.
Well, and I'm not supportive of the culture that says someone with clinical obesity is healthy.
Absolutely.
Like that's literally printed on magazine covers these days and it's just false.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. It's tough because I'm in a different age group, I feel like. And it's interesting. I'm 33, so I feel differently about this than maybe someone who's 23. And I think it's well,
and maybe at 23, when you are significantly overweight, you're not quite feeling the effects of that obesity on your body yet. Maybe you've always been overweight your whole life and it feels normal to you to not feel good. But coming from the medical perspective, it's actually not healthy.
Yeah. And I personally, like I have worked with clients and currently to this day work with clients who have lost a significant amount of weight. And they tell me on a weekly basis, like, I can't believe I was living my life this way because, and not even about the fact that how they look, like forget physical appearance.
Right.
They're like, Liv, I had no energy. And like the fact that I'm here now a year later and to see myself looking like this and feeling like this, I remember how horrible I felt. And they tell me, they're like, I don't ever want to be there again. 100%. So I'm hearing these people who are working their butts off and they made huge lifestyle changes. So it's like when I hear this culture of like the body positivity and that you shouldn't be thin and that you should love your body the way it is, I can't help but to think about my clients who like are putting in the work to better themselves and they feel so much more energized and their lab works. Their lab work is like, they're like, I just got back from the doctor and like I got my labs in and they are nothing like they were last year. And I'm like, yeah, like that's incredible. And it's all because of the work that they did.
Right.
So it's just hard for me to get behind this movement when I'm seeing people on a regular basis who have come such a long way.
Yeah. I mean, we could go into my conspiracy theories about why this is popular, but we won't. Okay. So quick question though. Do you still do intermittent fasting? Because you used to be a big proponent.
Yes, yes, and yes.
What's your fasting schedule?
So, and I'm going to preface this by saying, just because this is what I'm doing today doesn't mean that it's like what I'm going to be doing in 10 years. I think that like you have to always do check-ins with yourself and see what's working, what isn't. But as of right now, I'm going on like year 5 of intermittent fasting. I mean, remember when I first started doing this?
Yeah.
I was living like at the Broadstone. I'll never forget it, in West Palm. And I was like having a lot of issues with bloating and I was eliminating a lot of food from my diet. And I'm a very consistent person. And especially when it comes to my own health, I want to give something a serious try. So whether that's, and I remember I took coffee out of my diet for like 2 months.
Oh my God. It was the worst thing ever because I always wanted to have coffee with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't drink that anymore. And I'm like, what?
Well, and I'm like, it's temporary because I need to figure this out. I have to get to the bottom of it because I'm like, why do I feel so bloated all the time? So I took coffee out of my diet. I took eggs out for a while too to see if that was what it was making me feel like crap. So I just kind of was experimenting and I was like, all right, I want to try intermittent fasting because I always had clients at 6 a.m. living in Florida. Like every single day I was up with a 6 a.m. client and I'll never forget I would eat like a dairy-free yogurt or something like in the morning, like at the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, how can I possibly go to work without food in my stomach? Like that seems absurd. Well, I tried it. And I remember starting at like 9 and then 10, and then I pushed it to 11. And then I finally found my sweet spot. It was like, okay, 11 to 7 is a really great period of time or great window. And
that's your eating window.
Yes. Like I never eat before 11 and it depends on what I'm doing or like my work schedule, but sometimes I'll eat at 12 instead of 11 and then maybe stop eating at 7:30 or whatever. And it varies, of course. I mean, it depends on what I'm doing at night or if I'm going out with friends. Obviously, it's not like set in stone, but for the most part, I've been pretty consistent 11 to 7 for the last 5 years. And I will say, I feel my absolute best. I have the most energy when I do that. I experience so much less bloating. Like I'm very rarely bloated now. Of course, I have days where I am, but it just really works for me. And I felt like I wasn't doing it to lose body fat when I originally did it. Cause this was back when I was, 27, 28. And I lost so much body fat doing it. And that's kind of what jump-started like me getting leaner. Yeah. I was like, wait, this is so great. Not only, and I was eating the same amount of calories. And that ultimately led me to make better food decisions, to have more of like a mind-body connection. I was able to really like feel and understand how certain foods made me feel when I kept it in that window. And I just thought it was super interesting. And as of this day, I love it. And I have no plans to stop anytime soon.
Right. I'm the same. I pretty much follow the same eating schedule as you.
Yeah.
I usually don't eat until noon. You know, if I'm operating and I have a big case, then I obviously eat before that. That's my exception. But otherwise, I try not to eat until I'm like absolutely starving. And that ends up being around 11 or 12 every day. And then similarly, closing your eating window earlier in the evening is so key. And there have been studies that as it relates to your circadian rhythm, like you need to stop eating before bed a couple hours because otherwise you're still digesting when your body's trying to go into the sleep cycles and it affects your sleep. It affects your weight, your hormones, your metabolism, all these things. So
totally. So true. And I feel like you and I have always had such similar opinions on diet windows and I mean, diet in general, let's be real.
100%.
Like we've always like we're very aligned in all of that. And what you said about eating at night, that has been such a game changer for me because when I stop eating at 7 and I wake up in the morning, you just feel so much better in the morning versus like if we have a girls' night, right? And we go out to eat late in the morning, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, like you feel sluggish, and also like if you're eating out, it's already, a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily eat at home. So I always strive for like that 7 p.m. cutoff.
100%. And I tell clients that too, because I do, have done so much weight loss in my career, but I tell my post-operative patients that now too. Cut it out. Like, don't have that late night snack, that late night dessert, that late night glass or two of wine, because it really does impact how you feel the next day. And it, whether or not we like the scale, it affects the scale too.
Yeah. And I'm not against the scale. Hello.
I'm not either, because you need to check in with yourself.
You need to check in. And like that, and people try to cancel scales these days. Don't cancel the scale. Like, it's important. It's a part of the puzzle.
It is.
Like I just said this the other day, it's not the whole thing. Like, the number on the scale is not everything, but it's part of it.
Right.
You need to know.
Especially 5-10 pounds can creep up pretty quickly.
Well, and it's just data at the end of the day. And
then it's really hard to get rid of.
Yeah. And I feel like you would agree, like, you are the only person who knows like your best, where you feel your best, whether it's like a certain number or like a certain pant size, or maybe you have like a specific pair of pants that you love and that like, when you're maybe indulging a little bit too much because they're not fitting you.
Right.
But like, that's a personal thing. And I also just feel like the scale is helpful because it's helpful to see when you're feeling your best. It's like, oh, I feel my best and that's what I weigh. Okay. It's just more information. And I feel like the more information we have about our own health and well-being, the better you're going to be.
100%. Oh, love it. So many good things. Okay. Let's quickly talk about alcohol.
Oh, okay.
So let me tell you my story. Obviously you and I have had our share of drinks through the years.
We have.
But now that obviously I didn't drink during my whole pregnancy. So we had, that moment of sobriety, if you want to call it that. But since having Camden, my amount of drinking is significantly lower because I'm not sleeping that well yet.
I was drinking wine with Nick, just so we're clear.
But I really feel like I just need less of it. As I'm getting older, it's not something that I reach to, something that I feel is a necessity when I'm having dinner or out with friends, because I really feel it more in my body if I have more than one or two.
Yes, so true. And it's funny because people ask me, that's like one of the number one questions I get is alcohol. And when I did the poll about this podcast, people were like, I want you guys to talk about alcohol. Obviously, people know, and we have been friends for over 10 years, which is wild. But like, when we first became friends, we were
having way too many drinks.
Yeah. I mean, we were just having a time. Like we were. And Kandace, let me just tell you, like, first of all, it would just baffle me because she would just be this amazing, like, workhorse, right? She would just kick butt in the hospital. She would like work insane hours, and then we would still rally, go out, have a time. And the next morning she's doing what she needs to do. She's having water. She's like getting prepared for her day, and it never like affected her, which is amazing. But I feel like that's a personality thing. You have to be able to separate the two, but even still, like, now we're still like this, but to your point, it affects us more than it did when we were younger.
100%.
Because if I have something,
I wouldn't be able to do that now.
No, me either. Oh my God. If I have something big in the morning, it's like, I know when to cut myself off, or I might not even drink at all. And I'm totally fine like going out and not drinking.
Right.
And I've done it so many times, even in New York. And like, trust me, it's possible. It's hard because you're at a fun bar, but it's possible to be like, all right, I know that I'm going to be happy tomorrow if I maybe have a seltzer and not tell anyone that I'm not drinking.
Exactly.
Like secretly sober.
Right.
That's what I call it.
That's a good
yes.
thing. Oh my gosh. I need to be more secretly sober. But
sober.
It's true. I will do the same thing. I'll order a soda water with lime and that's it. And people think you're having a cocktail. Right. So it's not awkward. It's not like, are you pregnant? Are you,
exactly.
Do you have a problem that you don't want to tell us? It doesn't have to be about that. It can just be a personal decision and you move along.
Totally. I mean, I'll like almost whisper to the bartender sometimes, like, I'm not drinking tonight. And he's like, got it. And then we just keep it rolling through the night. I have a drink in my hand and no one asks any questions. I mean, Which is
kind of a sad world that we live in, that it's expected that you need to drink like at every occasion. But
I know, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't like to drink, because I do. I love a mezcal. I love rosé. I love it. I mean, we have fun. It makes for like a fun time, and I enjoy it socially when I'm with my friends or people I care about. But it can absolutely derail your goals in the gym. You just have to be super mindful.
And derail your life.
Yeah, 100.
Okay, so I'm going through our list of topics and I'm about to like laugh out loud. Like
Oh,
I
God.
I want to talk about wearing bras. So as someone who wears a bra basically 23 hours a day, Olivia wears a bra maybe 23 hours a year.
Facts.
At the most. I don't
I don't own one.
I know. Wait, yeah, you probably don't. It's different when you don't have big boobs.
I don't have any boobs.
But
like I just, And
you're blessed in that way because you're not going to have an issue with sagging. But I am here to alert the people. This is a public service announcement that if you have some degree of breast and you're just walking around 99% of your day without a bra, you're going to need a lift one day. So whether you're okay with that or not, save my number. But if you're not okay with that, wear a bra.
Don't do what Olivia does.
This is for all the Gen Zs who wear nothing, just like a tied scarf for a top. It's going to catch up with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just my look. Like flat chest has kind of always been my thing. And for now, look, I want babies. So I'm going to be seeing Dr. Kandace at some point in my life for a little reconstruction later down the road. But for now, I'm a flat chest gal. Like that's just my vibe.
Yeah. And it works. It works for you. It did not work for me. Okay. So now that we're on this more fun stuff, let's talk about dating, what you look for in a man. What's the current situation?
Okay.
Just hit us with all of it.
Okay. So
dating in New York versus here.
Ooh.
Better, worse, the same?
I mean, it's just different. New York, it's a sexy city, right? Let's not skirt around that. I mean, there are beautiful people all over of all walks of life. Lots of hot guys in the city, for sure. I think
Are they approachable though? Like, can you just go up?
No, but am I approachable?
Well, no. Absolutely not.
Hey, I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on it. So I was told that I needed to slouch more the other day.
What?
Yeah. Whitney's like, you're too erect. Like your posture is too perfect. You're not approachable.
Geez.
I will never slouch. First of all,
no.
ever in my life, you will not catch me slouching. So yeah. Anyway, it's fun. It's definitely fun. I mean, people are all about the apps in the city, which is interesting because
dating apps,
exactly. And I didn't have them in Florida when I was single in Florida, but I wasn't dating before I moved to the city. Like after my breakup, I was like very much doing me and healing and all the things and kind of preparing for my next move and all that. And I also I was like going through it,
Yeah.
It was a time. It was a hard but good time, needed, whatever. I moved to the city. I explore the apps a little bit. I don't love them. Like I just don't.
Well, I feel like dating apps are toxic. That's my best word for them because I mean, some of them may be better than others. I don't really have experience with it, but from what I hear from other people, it just is this like way for men to just click through women.
100%. Yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of the same for women too. I mean, like I would be swiping and it's like, okay, yeah, like these guys are all super hot, but I'm such an in-person girl.
Yeah.
Like what you see, I don't want someone to just be like, oh yeah, I know this girl from Instagram and I know her. Like, no, you don't, just because you see a photo of 10 photos of me and a little bio and you click my Instagram, like you don't. And I'm such a when I meet someone, whether it's a friend or a guy or whatever, like I catch on to someone's vibe and like you can see a really hot guy on an app and you meet them in person and they're a total dud.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even have a conversation with this person, like I want a guy who's dynamic and who's warm and also like interesting. And I think it's like your personalities have to click. And so I'm not saying I'm against the apps because look,
sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works. And like I have friends who met their guys on apps and like they're a match and they're so great together. And I love that. And I think and it's another way to meet people. And I think that's great. And I don't ever want to be closed off. That was my mindset going into the city. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be closed off to like possibly meeting somebody new. So let me do it. But I just kind of felt like it wasn't really going anywhere for me. And so I'm like, all right, well, so I haven't done it in a while. I'm way more of like a setup person. Like if a friend will be like, hey, my friend has this friend and he's coming into town, let's go to dinner. And I'm like, done. Yes, that's so great. I'm like all about a setup. I'm all about making eye contact and, you know.
No one does that anymore.
Someone did to me last night. I'm at Grotto with my mom. I was literally here for 1 hour and we're sitting there and the bartender's like, these guys over there want to buy you a round of drinks. And my mom and I like start laughing and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. They can do that. That's fine. And then before he left, the guy like came over and gave me a handwritten note with his number on it. I was
This is like out of a movie.
Out of a movie. I was like, this is amazing. And you know, whether or not like I end up calling the guy or it doesn't matter, but just like the fact that that happened was so refreshing.
5 stars to that guy.
5 stars to him.
Take notes. I mean, I don't have a lot of male followers or listeners, but
yeah,
if you've got a brother, tell him that this is a good idea.
Yeah, we still love like the in-person. We love an assertive king who just really comes in, shoots his shot, sees something he likes and goes for it. Like that's the kind of guy who 100%. Is going to get my attention. Like,
right.
Let's go.
Okay, so I want to talk quickly about, we'll go to something else. Okay, I do want to talk about like what you feel like are your gifts or talents. This has been something that's been on my mind lately as I'm thinking about like personal development and building my brand and like what is unique to me. So I'm putting you on the spot. Like, what is your talent? Kim Kardashian, do you have one?
Speaking of Kim Kardashian, yeah, get off your fucking ass and work.
Yes.
Right? Like, no. What is my talent? I would say like I'm a deeper person. Like I crave depth and I like really meaningful conversations and really meaningful connections. And I feel like I'm good at that. And especially with my line of work, I'm working with some incredible women. I work with men too, but just using women as an example, I've always felt this like strong connection with women and helping a woman feel better about herself and being with a woman through a hard time. Like a lot of my clients have children and I'm blessed one day to have my own, but I've just seen this. I've seen some incredible women and you included, and I have like pretty much all my best friends right now have had babies. And I think that it's such an incredible part of a woman's life where she's vulnerable and she is wanting to get her body back after having kids. And my friends and my clients have told me like, it's tough. You know, you all of a sudden are doing something for someone else and you're birthing this child and everything is about this baby. But like at the end of the day, like there's a woman inside of you that like you need nurturing too. And I think that like I work with women who give 24/7. And it's so empowering to me to be able to work with someone, even if it's for just 1 hour out of the day, where it's like, it's not about their baby. It's not about their husband. It's about them. And kind of guiding them through that step and that process of kind of coming back into their own. That's so special. And I would like to think that it's like kind of my calling and that it's something that I'm good at because I love it. And I love to see a woman kind of get her groove back after she's had a baby, after she's gone through a breakup, after she's maybe left her husband of X amount of years. You know, I think that there's something raw and very vulnerable and very just powerful about that. And I think that that is like a huge part of my purpose and wellness is having that like connection with women.
I love that. This is good. And what do you look for in a friend? Like, you know, you and I are friends, and I feel like through my life, because, you know, I'm a surgeon, you're in fitness. Obviously, I like fitness and, you don't necessarily partake in plastic surgery, but we've just
Not
always
yet,
been
anyway.
friends, and people have questioned that. Like, oh, why are you guys friends? Like, what do you guys have in common? So what do you look for in a friendship? And maybe we can like explain to people, like,
wait, should we talk about how we
because
met?
we vibe, but yeah, you tell the story.
Oh my God. Kandace used to take my bar classes back in the day. She was a medical student. And
Resident, but same thing, whatever.
That's right. She was a resident.
Because I moved here for residency.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it was like you were new into your residency.
Yes,
so I
first
guess,
year.
And you know, at that time, I didn't really, you were my first friend who was going through this. So I had no idea. I'm like, wait, oh, so she's going to be a doctor. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And I was like, I don't know, 23 at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl, she would come in with her scrubs, quickly change like a tornado and just like kill the bar class. And I'll be like, oh, like, how was your day? I started at 5 a.m. I did this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wait, what? And she would come and it would be like a 6 p.m. class because you only did evening classes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, this girl is so nuts. And I love her. And she is just so like hardcore. How did she just do all that and then like do my workout? Because they weren't easy even then.
No.
And so I'm like, I was like just so drawn to you by your like work ethic and your drive. And just like, you just had this energy about you that was just so interesting. And I'm like, she's just seems like such a cool chick. And she moved down here. She's new to the area, whatever. And I had just gone through a breakup and I was like, I need some new girlfriends because I had just moved into like my very first apartment by myself. Do you remember?
I do.
And it was like such a like kind of scary, but exciting time of my life. And I was like, oh my God, like I want to be friends with her. And so we just kind of hit it off from you taking my bar classes and we would go to the pool and you were dating Nick and you were like, oh, we should hang out. And my boyfriend has cute friends and blah, blah, blah. So we just kind of like, it was a very, very easy, seamless, like, all right, come to my workout and then let's hang after and do, you know, whatever. And then
exactly,
it kind of just evolved from there. And like you said, we've always had very, very similar views. We both love to work out. We both like to be healthy and we both like to have fun. And I think that that's kind of
a good balance,
a work hard, play hard. And I saw that in you and I'm like, oh, she's kind of like, she's my type. Like we love to work hard, but we also like to have a good time.
Exactly.
So yeah,
no further explanation needed.
No.
But we love each other.
We love each other a lot. Yeah. And she's the most loyal and you know.
That is one thing I know. We're both like loyal.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault.
Almost
probably.
to a fault. And like if I do something that pisses you off, it's like, you're like, okay, you know, you're kind of being a B word.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love that. And I appreciate that. And I need someone who's honest.
Honesty. Mm-hmm.
100%.
Right. As you get older, I think things change. And I think this is my opinion, you weigh in next. I think what you need to do for a workout, if you're in the maintaining mode, you know, maybe if you've got to lose a lot of weight, that's totally different. But if you have been happy with your body through the years, and let's say you're hitting your 40s or your 50s and you're going through menopause and you're having these hormonal changes, I think what you need to do is very different than what you needed to do before.
100%. I tell this to everyone. And even for myself, like what works for you 10 years ago might not work for you today. And even like 2 years, like
exactly.
We're constantly changing. We're constantly evolving. And unfortunately, we're getting older. And I think that like you have to always be able to adapt to new circumstances and you can't be stuck in one routine. Like it might not work for you anymore. I mean, you could have a big move. And I think that it's very important to note that for different stages of your life, things are going to be different. And I mean, and who's to say that you also can't pick back up? Like I've had women come to me and they like maybe don't work out for 20 years and maybe they come to me, they're like, I'm so out of shape and how can I possibly start now? You absolutely can. Like
right.
There's never a wrong time to do something good for you.
Right.
Like ever. I mean, you can be 50 years old and like, you can like maybe just start out at 50 and like, even if it's like adding 3 walks in your week, it's something and it makes a difference. And people think, oh, it's not going to make a difference. It absolutely will.
100%.
And I think that like little steps lead to bigger habits, and like when you're consistent, those little habits adding up is what's going to make a difference. And like, if you start today, think about how much better you're going to be in a year's time. And you can look back being like, oh my God, I started 1 year ago and I'm so glad I did. So I tell everyone that, like, don't get discouraged, don't get overwhelmed. And one little thing it's a big deal.
It's not 0 to 100.
Right.
And it's that consistency.
It's the consistency.
So key, that's why I'm obsessed. Like, I'm like so crazy that I still Peloton and everything. Cause it's like, it was such a fad and now it's not so much, but
who cares?
It's that consistency that I love because I see my progress. Like I see that I've worked out at least once a week with their app or on that bike for 137 weeks. That's where I'm at now. Yeah. Like that's insane.
It's incredible.
And it's like people wonder, oh, how do you look so good? Well, because I'm consistent.
Yeah. And you said the word fad. I am a very anti-fad everything with like diet culture, with workouts. I think it's a horrible mindset because I think that what works for you is not going to always work for me. And everything is so personal, and like diet and nutrition and exercise, it's such a private, personal experience. And if someone loves Pelotoning, even if I don't like it, I love that they love it, and I love that they're still doing it. Or like, I'm not a runner. I'm like anti-running.
Same.
But like, if someone says to me like, I've been running my whole life and it makes me feel so good, and then do it. Like if it makes you feel good, you feel energized, and you only know if something makes you feel good. So then keep doing it. And I don't knock anything. If it makes you feel good, if it makes you look good, if you feel like you're doing something good for your body, then keep it going.
And that's where kind of like the mommy makeover comes into play, because people can judge you and say, oh, you don't need to do that, or you should love your body the way it is after children, or maybe after a big weight loss. But if you honestly want to feel better in your own skin and that's going to get you there, then it's not selfish to do that. Like it's 100% for your mental health. I had a patient the other day. She's in her late 60s. She lost a ton of weight. She had this huge, hang of skin that was interfering with movement. It was interfering with the way her clothes fit. And her husband were just like, we're sick of this. Like it bothers me every single day. I want to be able to go on a cruise and feel good about what I'm wearing on the boat,
Right.
And it's just that every little day, like nuisance that she wanted to get rid of. She had the surgery. She is ecstatic. She feels so good. And no, she doesn't look like a bikini model, because at 67 and after losing a ton of weight, that's not typically your goal. But she feels so good. Her clothes fit, and it was obviously a safe procedure for her. So
that's amazing. Incredible. I love to hear it, because I think that in this day and age, it's like, it's just because you want to look good, like that is enough of a reason to do something about your body. Whether it's cosmetic, whether it's hiring a trainer, no matter what it is, like being comfortable in your skin and being confident and feeling good about your appearance is important. And like, that's enough of a reason. I had a client come to me the other day. She's like, I want to start training with you because, to be honest, like I want to like start looking better, and I want to start feeling more confident like I did 6 years ago. She like specifically said 6 years ago.
That's so
like
crazy.
There was a time in her life where she really liked her body. And she's like, I know this sounds really vain. She was like almost embarrassed to say that. And I was like,
it's not vain.
I'm like, good for you. And like, you should want to do that. And like, if you remember feeling really good about yourself, like you deserve to feel good about yourself. I think we all do.
And it's like that constant, like that saying, you feel good, you look good, you do better. It like spills over into every other aspect of your life. Because if you feel like
100%.
shit, you're not going to treat other people that well.
Correct.
You're going to have this constant like, chip on your shoulder. But if you feel good, you're confident, your body feels amazing, like you really have that energy, then you're going to want to do nice things and you're going to be successful, and it's going to just,
so true. I think it
the
totally
icing on the cake.
Yeah. It spills over into every other area of your life. And I've never been against a woman wanting to seek surgery or a mommy makeover. I think it's amazing. And I think like, hey, do you? We have one life. Life is short. You should feel good about your body no matter what, period. And that's something that like you can do for yourself.
100%. So what is on the horizon for Olivia, aka Liv? So many people call you Liv and I just can never get behind it.
I know you've never called me Liv a day in your life. And you know what? That's fine. And
it's not your name.
It's not. Kandace will be like, what? Who's Liv? I don't even know. Like she'll say that to somebody. I'm like, Kandace. Yeah, I'm excited about the future. I go back and forth because, I'm a firm believer in, I think that we all have, I pray, I'm spiritual. I know that like you can manifest and good things will come your way and you can stay positive. And I love all of that. I want success. I want to grow my brand in the city. I want to continue working hard. And people are like, are you going to stay in the city forever? Like, I don't know. I mean, like maybe not. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be present. I love New York so much. I love being there. I also love Florida, but for the most part, like my main focus is just working hard and growing my brand and getting and tapping into more groups of people and meeting more people and just kind of maybe doing some retreats. Yes. I want my brand to explode like worldwide. I want everyone to kind of get a taste of my method. And I believe wholeheartedly in my approach to wellness and fitness and health and exercise. Like it's like my baby and I love it. And it's my true passion. But yeah, I'm excited for the future and growing my brand and expanding that. And I want babies at some point in the next few years. I would love that. I would like to be in love again for sure.
Yeah. You will.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to have a family and, yeah. So in the next few years, all good things and just continue having fun and coming to Florida. I'm going to spend winter here.
Oh, good.
Probably February and March, or definitely February, but still TBD on like my exact dates.
Okay.
So yeah, but between New York and Palm Beach and super excited.
Can't have a better situation than that.
I know. So true.
So where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram. At Liv Figueroa. And then I'm working on my TikTok game. It's weak right now. I'm not going to lie. It is so weak.
We both need a tutorial.
But and your website TikTok is where it's at.
I know.
And my website, of course, is still thriving. I still post my workout content on there. I still upload videos, like the videos that I do this weekend. I'll upload. That way people have fresh content.
You can subscribe.
Yeah, it's $29.99. And like I always say, if it's not for you, you cancel it and go on about your day. But for what you're getting for $29.99,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And it's tons of recipes and tons of workouts and just ideas and inspiration. And you can bring it to the gym and follow along. And like I said, I post new stuff. So it's a great little tool to have.
So you can find that. We'll put that in the podcast notes, but isn't it livefitnesstraining.com?
www.livefitnesstraining.com. And my Instagram is at Liv Figueroa, just my first and last name. And
your whatever first name.
TikTok. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, good. Everyone's going to find you. Everyone is also going to leave me a 5-star review.
Of course.
And make sure they are subscribed to my channel and send us DMs. Follow us.
Slide into our DMs.
Yes. Obviously, you know me, Slimming Surgeon and Liv Figueroa. So thank you everyone for listening.
You can slide into my DMs as well too. Because I said we like an assertive guy.
100%. All right. Thank you again, Olivia, for coming on.
Thank you, Queen. This was so much fun.
Amazing. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.